Auburn's 2024 wide receiver class could be the key to the Tigers landing a 5-star quarterback in 2025. In this video, we're going to be talking about Julian Lewis, USC QB commit. He was on campus at Auburn this weekend, and it could be first of many trips to the Plains. We're going to talk to Auburn insider Cole Pinkston to break down the possible flip there of Lewis, and we're also going to talk about who could be the next recruit to commit to Auburn. Let's get it going. But first, Auburn fans, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We got this thing blowing up. It's going to be a fun offseason. We want you to be a part of it. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring on Cole Pinkston of Auburn live. Now, Julian Lewis, the number 10 overall player in the class, number 2 quarterback in 2025. He just announced last week that he's reclassifying, making the jump from 26 up to 25. Now, Lewis is committed to Lincoln Riley at USC, but he's also taken visits. Now, this weekend he was at Auburn, but he also has planned for the next couple weeks Georgia and Alabama. Now, Cole, you spoke to Lewis coming out of this visit. What stood out to him about his time at Auburn?
I think getting to know coaches a little bit better. I don't think he's gotten a big relationship with Hugh Freeze or Ken Austin, Jesse Stone, all these quarterback coaches at Auburn. That was the biggest thing he talked about after the visit. I think he wanted to see the environment and the town of Auburn itself and see how he fits there. Got to go to the basketball game. You know, Auburn basketball's hot right now, so they make sure they take the recruits there. So he seemed to enjoy that. Says he's going to be back, you know, for a 7-on-7 deal in the summer. So I don't know. I'm not sure where Auburn stands. I actually think that USC probably has a good chance of holding on to him, but Auburn's in this and trying to make a move here. I think they definitely got his attention enough to come back again and really give it a look.
Yeah, well, I want to just, in generally speaking, like I wanted to get your opinion on where his head's at, because he committed to USC as a 2026 prospect, but he is from Carrollton, Georgia, and now it looks like he's taking another look at a lot of the schools that are right around, you know, the Georgia southeastern area. Where do you think his head's at in terms of where his commitment stands?
Yeah, I think his commitment's probably strong with USC, but also I am curious how this Georgia visit goes. I want to see that, and I want to see, you know, how he fits with Alabama and what they've got going on now with Kalen DeBoer and their passing attack that they could bring there. So I think he's got a really open mind with all these schools, even Auburn. I think he's got an open mind with Auburn too. He's going to hear it out. I think he wants to see how Auburn's passing game advances this year. That might be a big deal before he signs, you know, next December, now that he's a 25 guy. So it's going to be – there's going to be a lot of visits taking place. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. Now, Auburn finished the 2024 cycle really strong, so no surprise that they are starting off 2025 really strong. I want to go over a couple of names that I think could be the next prospects to commit to Auburn. Now, we'll start here with Micah DeBose, the number 1 interior offensive lineman in America, number 39 ranked prospect overall. Micah DeBose, you feel good about him trending towards Auburn right now?
Yeah, I have a prediction in for him. He was committed to Georgia. Even when he was committed to Georgia, we were hearing there's a good chance this guy ends up back in state. Now, Alabama was in it pretty heavily too, not just Auburn. With the changes at Alabama, that might have set them back a little bit. That's what we're hearing. I think Auburn's in great shape here. I don't know if he's ready to go ahead and make that commitment yet, but he's getting close. He said he's got a top 5 coming pretty soon. Auburn's surely going to be in that, probably Alabama too, maybe even Georgia sneaks back in there. So I do think that Auburn, though, is probably the leader and has an edge right now.
All right, yeah, Micah DeBose said he's going to come out with the top 5, says Auburn going to be in it, but you think Auburn really at the top of it right now as it stands?
Yeah,
right.
I think so.
Another big name, Alvin Henderson, top 100 prospect, 98 overall, 4-star running back. They need a back in this class. Where do things stand with Henderson?
Well, that's one that, you know, we've been waiting on for a while. I've had a prediction in for him to Auburn. I thought that it could happen by now, but a lot of things have changed in his recruitment. Cadillac Williams was his lead guy at Auburn. He's no longer with Auburn. I do think that sets back Auburn, but I've done some digging on Alvin Henderson, and he posts pictures at his Oregon visit, his Florida State visit, Miami. All these schools are involved. I do think Auburn holds a slight edge, though, and I still believe that even without Cadillac Williams. You know, does he commit somewhere else along the way? I'm not sure. I know Auburn's going to be on him until the end no matter what. That's a guy that they really, really covet.
Yeah. And in these junior days, I mean, this is a time where you kind of build up those relationships heading into the spring, get these guys back on campus for a spring practice, and then hit them for that official visit sometime late spring, early summer. That's kind of the formula there. Now, talking about Eric Winters, one of the top DBs in the Southeast, number 110 prospect overall. Do you have a prediction in on him yet?
I do. I have an Auburn prediction in for him. He was at Auburn last weekend, not this weekend, but the past weekend. Went to the basketball game, did all of that, was with a bunch of guys, and he told us Auburn is trying to seal the deal. That was his quote. So we feel pretty good. He's at Enterprise, not too far down the road from Auburn in Alabama there. A guy that Josh Aldridge, Auburn's linebackers coach, I mean, this is his top guy. If it's not his number one guy, he's one or two. So I think that Auburn gets Winters. I think it's probably going to happen soon. That's what we've been hearing.
Okay. Well, we know he's a priority, but also offensive lineman Tavares Dice, number 283 overall. But Auburn worked really hard to fill the offensive line board up in 2024. Now you're seeing them get a little earlier jump on it in 25. How big of a priority is Dice right now for Auburn?
Huge. He was at 4 Auburn games this season, I believe, 3 or 4. He showed up a lot, and then he came back again last weekend. So he usually does a good job of letting us know where he stands, and he's pretty open and honest about his recruitment. And he continues to say that Auburn's really, really high on his list. He won't say they're number one, but we think based on the way that Auburn seems to feel about it, they have a lot of confidence. So we think that he's maybe leaning Auburn a little bit.
All right. So out of these names, Micah DeBose, Alvin Henderson, Eric Winters, and Tavares Dice, who do you think could be next to commit to Auburn?
I think Eric Winters might be the guy.
Okay.
I would have said Alvin Henderson, but now that Cadillac is gone from Auburn, I think he might take his time a little bit more. I say Eric Winters is probably the guy. I just feel like Auburn's put the full court press on him. He loves it, and he seems to like the fit there. Even though Auburn doesn't have a defensive coordinator right now, Josh Aldridge, the linebackers coach, has been a defensive coordinator before, and he's really talked him into, this is how we do things, and he likes it. So I think he's the next guy.
All right. Last question I got for you. Do you think it's going to be harder for Auburn to land 5-star wide receivers in this class because they landed so many last year? And I asked that because Caleb Cunningham, 5-star wide receiver, was on campus. So do you think it's going to be a little bit harder this year for Auburn?
Yeah, it might be. I think I actually asked Caleb Cunningham about that and what he thought about the guys that were in the 2024 class for Auburn. And he's like, man, he said that those guys, he said that I didn't know Auburn could, Auburn did that. They actually got that done. So it seems like, maybe he's impressed by it, but does it hurt playing time for him? He thinks he can play in year one. That seems to be the case here.
Well, hey, you know what? A lot of times kids look at depth chart, but the one thing that trumps the depth chart is winning. And if Auburn can go out there and win with a bunch of 5-star wide receivers, then I don't know if a guy like a Caleb Cunningham would mind maybe sitting on the bench for a little bit before it was his time to shine, as long as the program's winning. So we'll see what Auburn can do. But they are off to a hot start when it comes to 2025. And Cole Pinkston from Auburn Live, thanks for breaking it all down here on the Inside Scoop.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.